Don't worry, what could possibly go wrong? I would love it if you guys said Z-Pack for life when I count to 3. And don't worry, Pfizer will only sue me. Are you guys ready? 1, 2, 3. Z-Pack for life!
Just give me patience, yeah.
Dramatic look, Z-Dog. What's up? Z-Pack, it's your boy, Z-Dog MD. What do you think? It's Against Medical Advice, episode 3. Hey, yo. That was a room full of docs, the American College of Emergency Physicians. I just spoke there this week, and I was like, guys, can you do something for me? Just say Z-Pack for life. And they were like, just do it. And they did, and it was off the hook. Although I sent the footage to these goon millennials Tom and Logan, who run the show. And I'm like, could you do something with this footage? We want to have a cool lead-in. And they're like, sure, Z, how about this? What is it with millennials and memes? Like, you guys will take anything, you'll make a meme out of it. First of all, Pong, it sounds nothing like that. Okay, you weren't even there for Pong, Tom.
It sounded exactly like Pong.
I was there for Pong. All right, 565 viewers watched that embarrassment. And what I want to talk about this week, apart from the rooster that Tom put together, is the idea that this week is a big deal for medical people, for magical medical people in particular, because it is match week. On Friday, medical students around the country found out where they are going to do their residencies, which often determines where they're going to do the rest of their lives, because they meet their spouse, they end up finding their colleagues, they do all kinds of stuff that roots them in that position. So it is a very stressful and important time, and so much has changed in the match, but so much has stayed the same. I remember when I was going through the match, I was just wishing, please don't let me match at UCSF. I was a UCSF medical student. Please don't let me match, because I knew it was going to be brutal. And I'd picked Stanford #1 because I knew it was cush, baby, because I was all about that lifestyle. And then it turned out to be really hard. Anyways, for many of the students, we realized it is this magical sorting hat kind of adventure. Hi, Lisa Sheffer, by the way, and Melanie Cordero. Yes, craziness, my style, neurosurgeon at work. Neurosurgeon Melanie. Let's play that match clip right now, because you got to see this.
Okay, medical students, today we shall be doing the residency match, and I just want you all to know that there is absolutely no reason to cry. We are all in this together, and there are no losers, except for the people who don't match. They are complete losers. No primary care, no primary care.
She's a right old gunner, mate, eh?
Yes, beautiful skin and beautiful boards. There's only one thing for that.
Dermatology!
Yes! Oh, yes! I'm going to be so rich! Mummy! I'm going to... Don't touch me, you're poor!
Ortho!
We should try to be nice to him, Harry. He might let us ride on his private jet. And now, dredging the bottom of the class, Ronald Weasley.
Suck it, Weasley!
Oh, gross. Gosh. Ugh. Low board scores. Still plays with dolls. Pediatrics. Oh, Potter. Very interesting, smart, great board scores. You could be a powerful plastic surgeon. Have you considered it? Boobs and buttocks and Miami Beach. And you could own a boat, Harry. You want a boat, don't you, Harry?
Not plastics.
Oh, but you're
Not
also
plastics.
a do-gooder. Just go to Guam a couple times a year and do a couple cleft palates. You know, tell them that you're doing reconstruction, and then boobs, and buttocks, and beach, Harry. You want a boat, don't you, Harry?
Not plastics.
Oh, so
Not
be it,
plastics.
do-gooder.
Not
Live
plastics.
in the gutter. Primary care.
Flip row, Gary! I ain't rolling for the
We're broke, Harry. I ate Robin out the garbage. Do you guys like that? There was considerable butt hurt from not pediatricians. Pediatricians are like, dude, we're the bomb. And we understand that the sorting hat represents medical hierarchy and the assumptions and the stereotypes of ortho, derm, et cetera, primary care, right? But it's the people who are butt hurt by proxy. How dare you make fun of pediatricians? How dare you, sir or ma'am, okay? By the way, Melanie Cordero clarified her comment. She says, single neurosurgeon. So Tom, it looks like we're about to make a match right here. By the way, single and neurosurgeon, they just go together already because y'all are crazy. I wouldn't marry you, you're crazy. There was another comment here, Mary O'Hornet, having some frozen pickle juice with an apple and watching Z-Dog. Top drawer viewing. Mary, that makes you either a witch, psychotic, or a psychiatrist. Any of the above could happen with that's fantastic. Thanks for your comments, guys. Keep them coming. Anyways, so I hope you guys enjoyed that clip. It really felt actually authentic because the sorting hat, again, is our medical hierarchy. This idea that no. You got to specialize to make money. You need a lifestyle choice. Primary care is a big mistake. Pediatrics is a big mistake, right? And the interesting thing is I know so many dermatologists and orthopedic surgeons who are deeply caring, compassionate, fantastic doctors who found their passion and their calling. So not to diminish that, but, you know, expectorate sputonum. All right, check it out. The match. When I was at the American College of Emergency Physicians, all right, I met a bunch of kids who had just matched. They found out they had matched, but they didn't know where. And they wouldn't tell me because they didn't want to jinx it. So I talked to one of them and I gave him a bit of my own fatherly Indian advice.
I was raised in a household with 2 foreign medical grad parents, so when I got hepatitis B and not hepatitis A, I got no award for that.
Next time get A. Next time get A. I'm telling you, Farouk.
I'm sorry.
What do you do? You don't
sorry,
imagine. Why are you? But don't
I have
do it.
brought dishonor to our family.
You have hurt the name of
Makeries.
Makri. Don't be hurting us.
Don't be hurting us, Farouk. I'm telling you, I have brought pain to the name of Mekri because now your daddy is watching. Did you see, by the way, what's amazing about that clip is Farouk is a 4th-year medical student. Immediately when I did the voice, he slipped right into the submissive, yes, Babaji, of course, only yet I will not bring pain to the family. Please don't make, not the belt, daddy, not the belt. I mean, Indians, you know what I'm talking about. But anyways, you know, he was a lovely guy, and the idea that, again, this is really sort of determining your destiny, just like the sorting hat in Harry Potter. Now, here's the thing. The world that these kids are entering, and they are frickin' kids, really, by my estimation, right? They are entering a world where the game has totally changed. At the last minute, basically, ACGME, the accrediting body, said, look, we've had this rule since 2011 that new interns can only work 16-hour shifts and then need, you know, a mandated nap and mandated Q1-hour massages with or without happy ending and all of this. But now, with recent data, they've done a switcheroo and they said, nope, it's back to 24. You can work 24 and another 4 to do transitions and handoffs. Now, why? Why do we care about this? Why is this important? Number one, sleep matters. But number two, these are our future healers. And the question is, are we breaking them by making them work longer than 24-hour shifts? When there was data in 2004 that triggered all this that said, you know what? There are more medical errors in an ICU setting when kids work 24 relative to shorter shifts. But then there was contradictory data later looking at, first of all, after the year of these new work hour limits, did medical errors decrease? And the answer was no in one study. In a second study, they looked at surgical residents and they randomized them and said, okay, you guys are going to have the old work hours and you guys are going to have the newer, shorter work hours. And it turns out there was no difference in surgical operative complications, readmissions, et cetera. And so the question is then ACGME says, okay, let's expand it back to 24. Why would they do this? Well, it turns out that the shorter work hours were having these unintended effects, handoffs with patients, right? And nurses know this because they see the doctors. They're like, wait, who's the doctor covering this guy? Oh, he just handed off the pager to another doctor who's wearing a bandolero of pagers and is just looking confused because they're just always handing off patients. Whereas in the old days, they might carry one pager, work for 36, that's what we did, and there was continuity, but we were so tired. So I asked some professorial type students, recent attendings at the American College of Emergency Physicians, what they thought of these work hour rules. And here's what they said. What do you think of this ACGME thing about 24-hour shifts now for interns being okay again?
You did it.
I did 36 hours. Actually, we didn't even have a cap.
This is true. I did my training in the Army. We didn't have a
Yeah.
cap either. And so, look, it builds character, right?
Pause it, please. Wow. So how many of us have heard that? It builds character, right? And honestly, I'm one of those people. I went through this. I feel like it is a formative experience to work a 36, say. Should it be a formative experience for our next generation of students? And Dr. Coppola is actually a fantastic guy. He's seen it all. And what we cut out of what he was saying is that, he really feels like there's a balance somewhere that we're missing with the handoffs and the ownership of the patients. Now, let's keep going. I want to see the rest of this.
It'll be interesting. I think so many people are into shift work and night flow that I don't see it changing too much. I think a lot of the data that came out, especially with surgical residents in the past, showed that these newer, easier 16-hour things were actually didn't make them happy. They spent more time in the hospital because they were limited, so they had more days there.
Well, pause it. This idea that actually the shorter work hours are actually harmful to the lifestyles of residents is another great example of like an untoward side effect, a law of unintended consequences. If you're constantly having to sign off, go home, sleep, come back, you're actually missing the longer periods where you could be off. And actually, keep rolling.
We'd do 16 hours, you would go home for 8, and they would schedule you for 16 like back to back. So I'd almost rather do a 24, so that way you maybe get like more time off in between.
I do hope...
Stop, pause. All I want to say here is that kid is like a bizarro me. Am I right, Tom? Like he's like got the beard, he came from like another dimension and he's evil, or he's good because, keep playing.
Though, I think in the old days when I got 1 day off a month, the difference then was everyone was in the same boat. So you had so many more doctors and colleagues in the hospital. Even though you were there a long time, you shared the work.
I think the most important thing is to learn to be a good doctor, and if it requires you to be in the hospital managing patients from the start of their issues to the end, I'm willing to do that.
Farouk, you have brought honor to the family with that beautiful statement. Even Daddy is starting to cry. That's what we do medicine, is to take care of the patients, okay?
No, it's true though. And Dr. Schlesinger had a great point. He started a new program, Aventura EM, and he's now taking care of these residents who are going to be the next vanguard of medical education. If we're going to build Health 3.0, don't we need medical education that is, number one, humane? So for 1 second, let me back up. I'm going to read a comment and then we're going to back up. It's a safety issue, period, says Laura Neely Otrambo. Why should MDs have to perform sleep deprived? I'm an RN and I know 100% after 16 hours I'm not safe to treat patients. But here's the thing, Laura, this is absolutely true, and there's plenty of data that shows, and AMSA, the American Medical Student Association, will point this out, that shows a decline in competency, medical mistakes, et cetera, over time. The problem is in the real world. In actual practice, we have to work sleep deprived. So the question is, are we not preparing our residents for actual real world conditions? Should we change those real world conditions to be more humane? In the data and the studies that looked at these residents that showed that there was no difference between the old work hours and the new in terms of complications, you know what they didn't look at? Resident quality of life, well-being, health. If we actually look at that and we find that they are suffering so much, then we have to think we're doing something wrong. We're doing something that is nothing in line with Health 3.0. So doctors like Todd Schlesinger, like Farouk, the MS4 who's going to be entering residency, these guys are the ones who are going to transform the system, but we have to have this dialogue. Let's take one more comment. Susan Beauregard, building character equals killing patients. Your ability to think critically diminishes when you're exhausted. So that's going to be the final, I think there's nuance to this, right? Because also, when you have a longer shift, there's a team dynamic that emerges that is missing in the shift dynamic. So what I've noticed in residents that I supervise is they've lost the team dynamics. They're in the electronic silo of Epic or whatever their EHR is, and they're so busy clicking boxes and signing off and figuring out which Bandolero pager to answer that they've missed the whole camaraderie teamwork piece. So there's probably an answer somewhere in between. Now, in that setting, I want to think about basically what y'all's thoughts are on everything we've talked about today. So it's time to go to overtime and your comments. Yo, all right. Let's see, we got We got a couple comments here. Sharon Weaver West says, is that why my favorite doc, Indian, becomes submissive, kind of, when I challenge him? Well, first of all, Sharon, if you're anything like his mom, and I'll tell you, if my mom is in the room, I am as submissive AF. I will just tell you it's a cultural thing, and also it's a mom thing. Tom, which of these comments did you like?
Let's see. I like this one from.
One over.
Like choosing a nursing specialty. Sorry. Wrong. I messed
You
it
know,
up.
this is the problem with these people. Okay, if I don't make him work at 24, he falls apart. Okay, I have to make it. They need work at.
There we go.
I'm so furious right now.
Yes, when I graduated nursing.
Ah, there it is. Rebecca Talkie. It's a great last name, by the way, Rebecca. I love that. Yes, when I graduated nursing school, believe it or not, there was a glut of nurses. 1976. Wow, I can't imagine. We're so short these days. The hospital I applied to sorted me into orthopedics, not what I wanted, which was cardiac. I transferred into what I thought was the worst floor, a 57-bed medical, and I loved it. Had to leave that hospital to get what I finally wanted and spend 34 years in a medical tele step-down. Could have used a sorting hat. This is a great comment. Tom actually came through with that one. The sorting hat. So when I put out, we released that Harry Potter clip in advance of the show as a teaser, and it already has 850,000 views. And most of them were positive, but some people, I actually got personal messages from young colleagues who did not match. So in the match, the computer didn't match them, and now they have to scramble to find a residency. And these comments were rather heartbreaking because they were something to the effect of, you know, I really thought it was really funny, but it was hard because I didn't match, and I guess I should just avoid Facebook because, and I felt terrible. But at the same time, my response to this person was, this is exactly what happens for a reason. The match is just a random thing, but when you find that you end up like this comment, you go down a path you weren't expecting and you find your calling and your purpose on that path, and this happens more often than not. You can't overplan your life, guys. That's my piece of advice. Did I plan to like unplug from the Matrix and move to Vegas and stand here in front of you and be like, with a bunch of millennials who make rooster memes out of me? No. It just kind of weirdly happened. One other story I want to tell you guys.
Hey, real quick, Ian Bernard says, yeah, that was insensitive.
So Ian Bernard says, yeah, that was insensitive. Let me think about this. Is it insensitive to parody, to make a satire of something that's very common, which is the grief that happens when you don't match? And if you recall in the clip, McGonagall goes, there are no losers here. Except for people who didn't match. They are complete losers. Now this is satire, this is parody. Do you think I actually feel that way? No. Is it insensitive? Maybe. Hopefully my response to it isn't, and hopefully the idea that we're actually satirizing this common belief, all right? Also the common belief that like pediatricians, you know, didn't have what it takes to be a dermatologist. Total nonsense. Dr. Harry, my partner in crime, had like some of the highest board scores in our class. Not that that means anything, right? He could have done anything he wanted. He chose to do pediatrics because he's passionate about taking care of little adults. I mean kids. Let's read some more comments.
Serena says it's okay, it's not that insensitive. Tell us the story you were about to tell us.
So Serena, if you guys didn't hear that, Serena says it's okay, it wasn't that insensitive. Please tell us the story that you got cut off on. Squirrel! Here was the story. When I ended up matching at Stanford, it was my first choice because I wanted to leave UCSF, but I was on the threshold of making the other decision, staying at UCSF. If I'd stayed there, okay, it was this close, I literally flipped a coin more or less, I would never have met my wife. I never would have had my beautiful Z-pups. I never would have done any of this stuff, all right? I would have probably gone into GI and I would be fishing $500 out of everyone's colon. And so you see that these decision points matter. Now, another thing I wanted to tell a story about is with my wife. We were talking about shift work. We were talking about sleep deprivation. Now, nurses understand that shift work, anybody, EMT, where are my emergency peeps at, dude? Leave a comment if you're EMS right now, because I don't think you guys get nearly enough props. EMS, nurses, pharmacists, everybody who works shifts understands that sleep deprivation is just a part of it. It's your circadian rhythm. So when we moved from Stanford to Las Vegas, my wife quit her job as an academic chest radiologist at Stanford, put it on kind of a sabbatical, and started doing teleradiology from home at night as a shift. Do you know what happened? she pretty much fell apart because she went from a circadian rhythm where you're supposed to be awake during the day to where now you're awake at night. She could never sleep during the day. She could never adjust. She was tired all night. She was, depressed and labile and all the things that happened that had been described in something called shift work disorder. So it's an actual thing. So people who work shifts, they understand this, that if you don't get, not only do you not get enough sleep, you don't get good quality sleep during the day if your circadian rhythm is adjusted at night. There are things you can do. So one piece of teaching I want to do today is if you work shifts, the first thing you do is you want to control the light during the day, make sure that it's blocked out so that you can sleep properly. Make sure the temperature is between 60 and 75 degrees because that's how you're going to sleep best. Put in earplugs or use a noisemaker to even out variability in sound so you don't get woken up. And you won't even know what's happening. It will just interrupt your sleep. Okay, some people find melatonin works. There's some limited data that 3 milligrams, 1.5 to 3 milligrams of melatonin 30 minutes before you sleep can help increase your sleep length by about 24 minutes for whatever that's worth. And try to take naps during your shift. I know it's hard. Never let the nap exceed 45 minutes because you go into deep sleep and that will wreck everything. We'll talk more about shift work disorder in another episode. All right, what else do we got here? Any other comments we want to do, Tom?
Let's see.
We're at 20 minutes.
I feel the match does work, Mildred B.
Oh, I see that, Mildred B. I feel the match does work. You just have to make sure you're the best applicant possible. I think the big issue in young adults, apart from being lazy millennials, just kidding, I think a big issue in young adults with minimal interview skills who are interviewing for huge positions, this is the problem, they have minimal interview skills. Many of the students don't know that the interview is about sharing your passion in the field and sharing your goals, right? Well, this is very true. Like if you're yourself in the interview, like if Tom were interviewing me and I was like, well, Tom, the thing about Health 3.0 is that we want to build a bolder world that's very inclusive. Tom would see right through that BS, whereas I was like, here's the thing, man, I suffered in Health 1.0 and 2.0. We have to build 3.0, not just for other people because I'm selfish. I want to practice team-based medicine so that I don't go crazy. That's an honest response in an interview, right? So be yourselves. That's what I always tell the house staff. And also, you will find your niche in healthcare, whether it's a nurse, a CNA, whether you're a PA, an NP, you will find your niche. It's there. It's a big world. What else we got, Tom?
Let's see. Mitchell Barnes says the match was created by Nobel Prize winning economists. It's a good intricate system. And here I thought it was a magical hat, Z.
Yeah, Mitchell Barnes, the match was created by Nobel Prize economics guys. Yeah, I mean, Tom was like, it's just basically a sorting hat. That's what, I mean, stuff goes in, magic, and then poof, you're going here. So I don't need a Nobel Prize for that. I just need, expectorate sputorum. What else we got? One more comment. Any advice in working with failing students from a rad tech clinical instructor, says Stephen Hosker. So this is the thing, even the term failing student feels like you're giving up, right? I think the idea is that they're having a struggle in our current way of teaching. So we have to find the way that they learn, and maybe it is that their aptitudes don't match with what they're trying to do. And sometimes the most compassionate thing we can do is to say, this isn't a fit for you. I mean, let's think about this. If you see someone who you're like, no, this person cannot be a neurosurgeon, it's just never going to happen, and you don't say something in a compassionate way early on, you're doing them a disservice, you're doing the patients a disservice, you're doing their colleagues a disservice, right? So being honest and forthright, I think, is a major requirement of all this. So on that note, is there anything else you want to do, Tom?
Let's see. Francie Darnell says that the reporter's camera shots are annoying her, so you can yell at these guys real quick.
You know what? Get them in here. Get in here. Get in here.
Go ahead.
So I don't know if I told you guys this. We have reporters from something called a newspaper. I don't know what it is. I believe Donald Trump referred to you as failing. And you can use them to swat flies. You can do all kinds of things, but they're lovely. They're doing a piece in the Review Journal in Las Vegas on everything that we're doing to try to build Health 3.0 from a musical and a this sort of thing. And this guy's got ink, which... hepatitis. That's all I'm saying. All right. On that note, people, I want you guys to share the F out of this. I want you guys to keep leaving comments because we're going to go through and read them. I want you to give us feedback. This is only our 3rd episode. I want you to share that Harry Potter clip, and I want you to tell me if I'm being a jack because this is still a work in progress. It's your show, it's your voice, and we want it to succeed so that we all succeed together in building a better healthcare system. On that note, Z-Dog out.